All right, guys, so I'm back. Hopefully I can finish this set and I will have something to study from. Let's just hope and pray that I'll be able to finish it. All right, so here we go. Name 3 multicultural counseling competencies. The first one is awareness, understanding of personal bias, knowledge, importance of understanding the world views of culturally different clients. The last one is skills, and it deals with the process of actively developing, practicing appropriate intervention strategies needed to work with culturally different clients. Next question. What are the mandatory elements of an IEP? Performance assessment, goal and objectives, service and participation, transition services, timeline of services, criteria for measuring success. What are the 4 scales of a measurement and appraisal? Nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Nominal, it uses frequency, will quantify a group of numbers. Example, gender, male, female. Ordinal, a order or rank ideas interpreted as a difference in ranking. Example, height, tall, short. Interval, equal intervals show ranks, orders, and they tell us how far apart the intervals are. An example is the difference between 5 and 6 is the same as the difference between 34 and 35. Ratios. It tells us proportions. Has an absolute 0. An example is speed. What is internal consistency? An explanation based on the correlation among variables comprising the set. Measures of how consistently each item measures the same construct correlate performance of each item with overall performance of a group. Next, what are the 5 types of fidelity? Content, criterion, concurrent, productive, and discriminant. What are the 5 types of fidelity? Content, criterion, concurrent, productive, discriminant. Content fidelity is the degree to which an achievement tests the content contains a representative and appropriate sample of a subject matter. Criterion, productive fidelity is the degree to which the score on a test, it predicts the individual score on a test or performance in some other areas. An example is tests of scholastic achievements can be made to predict a job success. Concurrent fidelity, determined by hypothesizing and examining differential relations between a test and its measures of similar or differences constructs evidence that a measure of a construct is indeed measuring that construct. I'll get it. I just got to read over it because I'm literally reading off this paper, and maybe the individual that typed it up has some typos. Explain standard deviation score. The average amount of variations around the means in original terms, specific intervals between band of scores. Each interval indicates a different level of achievement. Scores allow us to measure the difference in distribution of numbers. 1 standard deviation equals 68% of the population. The second deviation equals 95% of the population. The third standard deviation equals 99% of the population. Rehabilitation coefficient. An index of a consistency of measurements, often based on the correlation between scores obtained on an initial test and a retest, or between scores on two similar forms of the same tests. Name 3 types of rehabilitation coefficients: internal consistency, split half rehabilitation, retest rehabilitation. What is split half rehabilitation? An explanation based on correlation of two equivalent forms of the scale. What is retest rehabilitation? An explanation on the correlation between two or more administrations of the same instrument for different times, locals, and populations. Explain the correlation of coefficient. A numerical value that identifies the strength of the relationship between variables. -1 to 1 is a linear relationship. -1 equals negative, no meaning. A positive equals things that go in the same direction. A positive is the strongest relationship. What are standard scores? Transforms raw scores to a common measure and allows for comparison. What are the 5 types of standard scores? You have Z-score, and it is the number of standard deviations above or below the mean. T-score, equivalent standard scores in a normal distribution, means of 50, standard deviation of 10. Sustains, used to understand students' relative range of performance. Percentile rates, percentages of people whose scores less than or equal to the student's scores. Centiles, they didn't have anything for that. Name 4 different types of tests. You have a personality test, objective, projective, attitude and beliefs, psychological constructs, ability and aptitude tests, and then you have career, interest, achievements. Name the 6 methods of appraisals. Interview, ranking scale, behavioral observations, formal published inventories, psychograms, test batteries. What is a Likert response scale? A psychometric response scale often used in questionnaires. Most likely used in survey research, 5-point item. What are the 4 elements of comprehension guidance programs? Guidance curriculum, individual planning and responsive services, system support. System support as a part of a comprehensive counseling program includes coordinating data collecting and sharing, community and advisory boards, researching and evaluating services, program management and administration. What are the major components of a comprehensive program? Planning, organizing, implementing, evaluating. Describe the planning stages. Conducting needs assessment. We have survey, interviewing, observations, existing data, inventory of current resources already available for use. Describe the organizing stage. Developing a comprehensive guidance curriculum. Explicit student competencies, outcome. Developing preventive and responsive services. Describe the implementing stage. Coordinating counseling services and activities with academic and other school programs. Advertising the ability and scope of services. Scheduling counseling time and task. Establishing record keeping and information system. Describe the evaluating stage. Coordinating, designing, and interpreting. Program development plans. Conducting program evaluations on an ongoing and regular basis. Student outcome studies. Satisfaction surveys. Counselor self-assessment performance evaluation of the counselor, and repeated needs assessment. What is a referral most appropriate for school counselors' response to a student's needs? When in doubt, refer out. What are the primary components of the National Standards for School Counseling Program? Foundation, the what of the program, delivery system, how, management, when, why, by whom, and the authority of the system, accountability, evaluation of the program. What are the goals of a counseling program in an elementary school? Developing knowledge, attitudes, and skills necessary for children to be confident leaders, work as a team with school staff, parents, and community to create a caring school climate, provide education, prevention, and early identification/interventions to reach the academic success. What type of student development are the focus of a comprehensive guidance program? Personal, social, academic, and career. What are the 7 steps in the ethical decision-making process? I'll read that again, I'm sorry. What are the 7 steps in the ethical decision-making process? Identify the problem apply a ASCA code of ethics, define nature and dimensions of the dilemma, generate potential courses of action, consider potential consequences of all actions, choose course of action, evaluate selected course of action, implement course of action. What are the rights of parents to inform about their children's counseling? Legal rights to access information under FERPA. Counselors should review confidentiality with the parents and stress the importance of the counseling relationship and trust. What is the effect of the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, also known as FERPA, on the work of the school counselor, aka Buckley Amendment? Schools must annually send notices to parents regarding the rights to review the files and the rights to file a complaint against anything they disagree with. The law limits who may access records with a legitimate educational interest. How long should the counselor keep the records of counseling with the students? 7 years. Psychoanalysis, Freud. Unconscious motivation, oral, anal, fecal, lens, genital stages of development. Aldrian therapy, Alder, consciousness, capacity to reach optimal function. Experiences are not as important as our attitudes about our experiences. Infirmity, lifestyles, assessments, and basic mistakes. Behavioral therapy, B.F. Skinner, learned behavior. Goal of therapy is to eliminate negative learned behaviors and place them in a positive one through the processes of conditioning and reinforcements. Cognitive behavior therapy, Ellis, change negative behavior by changing false thinking and feelings. RET, action and practice can combat both irrational thoughts and beliefs. ABCs, acting, events, belief, system, consequences, Ellis. Essential therapy, Rollo May, Viktor Frankl. Loneliness, isolation, alienation, meaninglessness, freedom, and death. We are free and therefore responsible for our actions and the results of those actions and choices. Person-centered therapy, Carl Rogers. No directive. Clients have the ability to determine how to self-actualize. Trust is essential for this ability to develop active listening and reflecting. The counselor-client relationship is all important. Gesalt, Frederick Pearls. Stress the here and now. Unfinished business from the past presents the individual from adequately functioning in the present. Reality therapy was William Glasser. He emphasizes the individual responsibility, the personal accountability, goal setting, contracts, popular in schools because of the short-term use of WDEP, wants, doing, evaluating, and planning. Solution-focused therapy. Steve Dzelzer. Sorry, take all mistakes out of love. I am strictly using this for my testing material, and I'm trying to help someone else that may be in need. Kim Berg. It's a quick and effective therapy that focuses on implementing a picture of how the client will act after solving a problem, and that is solution-focused therapy. The decision-making process. First, they want to define the problem, state the desired outcome, explore all possible options, explore the barrier to options, explore the consequences of eliminating one or more of the options, narrow the options down to manage options, make an informed decision based upon the choices. Correlation coefficient, a statistical concept in test fidelity that measures the relationship between two factors. Norming, the score obtained by a randomly selected group or test takers for the purpose of comparison to future groups of test takers to determine the uniform level of success on the tested information. Rehabilitation, how consistently different scores arrive at the same score. Content rehabilitation, the degree to which all questions measure the content. Temporal rehabilitation, how dependable the test is over a period of time. Standard error of measurement and formula, the inaccuracy of a test caused by chance formula. The square root of 1 minus the rehabilitation coefficient. Standard deviation of error scores, average amount of errors in our measurement around our score. Use SEM to create confidence intervals, range of upward or lower statistical values that are consistent with observed data and are likely to contain the actual population mean. Sustain, an interpretation of placement often used in achievement tests. It is a measurement that runs from 1 to 9 and is a band about 1/2 a standard deviation in width